Much better. So on stream, we worked on getting these paths cleaned up and a more competent placement of all of them. So I'll go into Freecam just to give you an overview. But we did lower some of this land over here where the previous trading stalls existed. And we made the main path going all the way through back towards this way. And then cleaned up the connection points between this upper hill and then the lower portion. So now we've got a better foundation of what we need to work with. So I can go in and kind of plan out a little bit better now that I know exactly what amount of space we have to work with. So I think I need to do a little bit of planning, and I'm gonna walk you through how I'm going to do that for this world, because transforming the rest of this village is no small task. It's going to be a lot of really small updates, and it's just going to be better in the long run to have an actual plan for this specific project, so that I know what I'm doing and I can start to tackle things one at a time. So I'm trying to plan a little bit of what I want to do with this village. So I've gone in and taken a screenshot from overhead, just to try to lay out kind of what I'm thinking. So the first thing that I know I for sure want is there's this area over here where the original trading stalls in the village were. So I want to keep that going. And I'm thinking we can make it almost like a farmer's market. So we're going to keep the trading stalls here in this general area and kind of go off from that. And then there's this dip in the land right here that I think would be really nice for a pond. So we're going to plan on that for this main portion of area over here. Now, back towards this way, I think it would be fun to make like a tent campsite, maybe here or here. Now, I have some wheat fields and some sugarcane over here, which I think is all going to come out. I want to relocate the wheat elsewhere, and then sugarcane. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I do need something to go in this area. So kind of as a preliminary idea, I'm thinking we'll of course turn that into a dock. It'd be nice to have a dock here anyways, but I may consider doing like a custom boat. I've never done one before, but I think it'd be fun to have one right in this general area. Now I have this house up here that I was planning to have a fenced in farm area behind it. And originally I thought wheat, but I think this would be a better area for wheat. So instead I'm thinking here we could potentially do beets, because I don't have any beet farm at all. And down here is where I've got a lot of my tree farming going on. That's just kind of where I grow them because it's super simple. I think it would be fun to add a little bit more order to it and almost do like a tree nursery possibly. But I think this large open space that goes past this screenshot could be a good place to maintain what we've already got going, but just clean up the lines and give it a little bit of like a grid, like a typical tree nursery would have. And then down here, we could do some pumpkin and melon farms down in this area, because I do need to put those somewhere. And if I don't do them here, I may swap it with the tree nursery and put the tree nursery up here, but I think we could do one or the other. But we'll see. We'll have to go through all of this and do some trial and error. And then I may try to do a custom tree in this area. And then the main other thing I noticed is that there's this gap right here that's pretty inconvenient whenever I have to like run this way to get to where all the trees are. So I think we want to put a bridge right across this little ravine, whatever you would call it. And then really from there, everything else is just gonna get like flower fields. We're gonna put these flowers here too. Flowers everywhere. But yeah, that is like the general plan that I'm working towards. And I think since it's the main thing that I know that I want to have, and I have a good understanding of where I want the location to be, we're gonna start out here and do the trading stalls. So we got the farmer's market all laid out and ready to start decorating, but I've got to say I accidentally canceled the first part of my flashback footage whenever I was streaming. So all of the work that we put into it is available in a VOD on the channel, but I don't have any flashback mod footage to show for these first couple of stalls, but we can still walk through them and talk about them. So first off, we started with these two. And this one we are planning to have for flowers, and then this one will be more for saplings. So those have the same design, but once we got those in, I tried to start varying it up. You can see I also started decorating this one a little bit, but I didn't get too far with the decorating because I want to make sure everything was in place first. But I wanted to vary up this style. So for this one, the primary good that we will be displaying here would be like leather goods. So this one has more of a walk-in and you have things on display kind of layout rather than a walk around and look. And then this one, we had a small little space, so I thought it'd be fun to do baked goods. So right now there's just like a pumpkin pie and a actual cake, but we'll bring in some other baked goods as well to put on display there. And then as we move forward, this is the next one I did. And I did this weird thing with the mine carts. By putting a powered rail, it stops the mine cart. But the idea for this one is to do meats and fish. And so I wanted this to look like a reach-in cooler. And I thought we could get kind of creative with the placement of like what goes inside of each one. Over here, we've got what I want to put produce in. So like apples, carrots, potatoes, beets, everything. And then we got some pumpkins and melons over here for a display. And then this one I figured could be kind of like anything that the cleric sells. So probably ender eyes, XP bottles, just weird like artisanal goods is what I was calling them. And then as we move this way, I want to make a like picnic blanket right here. So I started it, but I ran out of the yellow carpet, so I need to finish that. And then over here, I have a wool display. So this would be kind of like for a shepherd's stand. So we need to put some more decoration up here, but we got all the colors there on display. And then moving this way, we've got this section, which I'm anticipating putting just like colored dyes. And then over here, I think we could put potions. We got some cauldrons down. And I think as we start to decorate, it'll bring a lot more life to this area. But whenever I started doing these minecart things, I definitely thought I was going to be able to like stick a plant underneath and then make it sneakily show through as if it's in the minecart. But I was having trouble with that. I definitely think I was misunderstanding whenever I had that in my mind. But because I really like how this looks with the angled minecarts, I decided to go ahead and add the armor poser mod into this world. I've never worked with this, but I feel like it'd be fun to just give it a try. So I can go in and start to put some produce in like the composters and the minecarts. And we can start to like mess around with all this stuff. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I figured it'd be kind of fun to mess around with it and see what we can do. I don't plan on using it a ton at this point in time. I may fall in love with this and end up using it a lot more in the future. But for now, I just really want to focus on using it for this farmer's market area. And let's just start out with these reach-in coolers on the side, because that's what I'm most excited to work on and see what we can come up with. Before we even think about getting started, I should probably make quite a few of these armor stands. I've got 20 of the smooth stone slabs to use, so we can at least get those going. I want to grab real quick, if I have it, some ice. So I'll grab this blue ice, but let me walk you through what I'm thinking real quick. So I want to use this blue ice. I've got to figure out how to even do this. Let me see. I think I've got to take that out of my hands. Okay, and I want to place something. I think it usually goes on the head of the block. Oh, where'd you go? Wait, where'd it go? Can I undo? No, come back. Where'd you go? I've seen people do this where... Okay. This is the one. Locate. Okay. How did it end up here? Modify. Undo whatever I just did. Where are you? Hold on. How are you down here now? What is going on? I'm so confused. Wait, are you this one now? Modify. At least I know how to find it now. Invisible. No. Undo. Okay. Wait. That was my problem. Okay. Come back. Okay. I figured it out. You put the item in the hand. And then you do this. Swap main hand and head. Okay. Progress. I should probably put it closer to where I want it to go, though. So let me do this real quick. Now I've got an armor stand with a block of ice for head. And now I think I want to turn gravity off and make it invisible. That's what I think we're trying to do. A lot of trial and error later, but I got the ice block in a decent place where it's within the minecart. And I like the way it's looking, but the thing is, typically, like the meat cases that have fish and other meat in general is going to have like crumbly ice in like little blocks. And so I want to try one other option with prismarine, but we need prismarine. So I'm going to go grab a piece really quick. I'm going to try to sneak by the guardian before it even notices I'm there, and then I'm just going to run away. So I have a bucket of milk just in case I get mining fatigue, but I know that there is a monument somewhere in this general direction, because I did buy a ocean monument map at some point, Ocean Explorer. So I'm literally just going to try to grab a couple pieces of prismarine and then head back to even see if it's something that we want to do. And if it is, then we will come back and take out all the other guardians and get a little bit more of the prismarine. Okay, we're like right over it. Literally just... Oh, that scared me. Okay, that stressed me out. Okay. We're gonna swim around. Try not to get caught. They don't need to even know. I just need a couple of these. Give them to me and then I leave. Don't worry. Okay, they got a hit on me. Ugh. I should have 8. Okay, we turn around and we leave. Y'all can leave me alone now. Okay, we're back. We got the prismarine. Let's try to put this in the hands. And we're going to swap it. And I want to know, can I copy the settings over? Mirror pose, copy. I do that and then I paste this. Okay, I can at least get the angle the same. Okay. Here are 2 options. We've got A, actual ice, and B, prismarine to kind of look more like chunky ice. And honestly, I'm not really sure yet which one I like more, but I think I'm going to just let it sit and I'm going to think about it. But in the meantime, we're going to do a little bit of work in different areas because we've got plenty to be done. So I think I want to go ahead and tackle this pond right here because that'll be a really fun one to do, pretty simple. And I think after that, I may go in and work on the tree farm. So we're going to hop on a live stream and do those together. Ooh, and I do need to texture this path as well. So we'll probably get that taken care of here shortly. But I'm going to come back to this and we're going to keep working on the decoration in this area because I want to work on it together. But I am glad that I have a basic understanding of what's going on. I'm pretty hopeful that we can figure out how to get these armor stands set up now that I've got a little rundown on the basics. And yeah, we'll come back to this in a little bit. So we went ahead and we've got the pond all laid out. It still needs a little bit of texturing around the edges, but other than that, I'm liking the location and the shape. But yeah, there will be some more details we're going to add soon. But before we even do that, I do want to talk about what we've got going on with the tree nursery. So I got this staircase added in right here and we've got it started, but there's still quite a bit of work that's needed to be done still. I'm not super set on how this is looking, but I'm hoping that once everything is filled in that it'll look better because there's so much open space right here between the little saplings versus when you get back here to the full-sized trees. But I do like what we did here. I need to put this in with the jungle oak or jungle wood type, but we got some chickens underground and we tied them to the tree so that it looks like they're being braced up in the wind, and I really like how that turned out. And then so it starts out with just saplings and we've got string on top of them so that they don't grow, and then we get into the second level of growth trees, and then we get the third level growth, which these are just the generic single width tree. And then back here we tried to force some taller trees to grow, and then this one was actually, we got one that was the shorter one, and then I put a block of dirt on top of it and grew another one, and it ended up being a lot taller than I expected. But I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out how to work in the 2x2 trees. So we ended up having to space them out wider because when they were a lot closer, they wouldn't grow because of the canopy overhead. It was blocking them for some reason. But we've got most of those placed in, and then we've just got to do the second level of growth. But yeah, we still got some work to do on this. But while we are waiting, I'm going to go ahead and keep working on the decoration for the farmer's market. So I've been thinking, and I want to try one other option for what I'm having represent the ice. And I've got some white concrete in hand. Actually, I'm kind of looking at this gravel as another option too. But I want to see the white concrete because I feel like realistically, ice is more of a white color. It's not really as blue as these are. So I want to give this a try, do the same setup, but with the white concrete and see how that looks. Okay, so this is what we got. We got regular gravel, ice, prismarine, and white concrete powder. And I think I need to put a fish in first before I can make my decision, but I'm leaning more towards the white concrete powder. Okay, this is what we're working with a fish in place. Now I can go in and change these and get an idea of what each one looks like. And so far, I do think I'm leaning more towards the white powdered concrete. So let's lock that in place. And I think that's what we're gonna go with. So now that we kind of know what we're working with, I'm gonna go ahead and get these all set up. I think I'm gonna do seafood on the lower half, and then the upper half, we're gonna do like beef and mutton and all those kinds. And then, yeah, I'm just going to get those placed in, kind of work through it. I think I need to rearrange some of these as we go, but I'm going to work on that real quick and then show you what we've got once it's all in place. So we've got most of them all put in, and I'm really liking how it's turned out so far, but there's just one last thing I need. I want to put some tropical fish here, but I couldn't find any in my storage system. So we're going to have to go get some either through a lush cave or a warm ocean, but I do have portals that lead to both of those. So we're going to go ahead and head into the nether and go find some tropical fish. So first things first, let's go ahead and swap our helmet for a gold one. We'll hop into the nether portal, And then we just run down this tunnel until we find our other portals on the opposite end. And this looks like the place, so we're just gonna take a turn left and try to avoid the skeleton. And in we go. One of you, one of you, and I will take you as well. And just like that, we are back, and I also grabbed some pufferfish for potion brewing while I was over there, and I've never seen the pufferfish head before, but why is this like my favorite thing ever? I look so goofy. I love it. We're just making these last little touches, and there we go. We've got a full on reach-in cooler slash ice chest with all of the different meat products. Plus, I needed a fourth seafood, so I threw in some squid because, you know, sometimes people make food with squid ink, and then I threw in one of the heads as well. Now, I do want to add a little bit of decoration. Oh no, I'm moving the mine carts. This is going to be a problem. Okay, we're going to see. I need to just barely move this one. Okay, not too bad. It still looks good. Okay. That actually is reassuring because there's one over on this side that kind of got moved around as well. It's this one, but it's actually, I think I need to bring the bottom one down a little bit more, but I think it's going to poke through. So we're not going to worry about that. I need to put some decoration back here. So I'm thinking in the pots, we're going to put just fern, a simple plant. And then in the item frames, this might be weird, but I have an idea. Now, part of me worries this may seem insensitive to put the animal heads above them. But if you think of it as like a drawing as a form of advertisement, it's acceptable, right? I think it looks good. It's cute. I love the little mob heads. And now that the meats and seafood are good to go, which I'm really happy with how this turned out, I want to tackle the produce next. So since we got 8 slots, we're gonna do apples, carrots, potatoes, beets, melon slices, sweet berries, glowberries. And for the 8th, I'm between using golden carrots and eggs, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and do golden carrots. Making a couple other adjustments. So I got a little variety in the angles. I do want to add something underneath so that you can't just see to the bottom of the composter. So I think I'm gonna try starting out with powdered red concrete and then go from there. We may try podzol instead too. So test 1, this is powdered red concrete. And for test 2, we've got podzol, which I think this is what we're gonna go with because you really aren't gonna see it much from this view, but if you do look down, it at least fills the area and it blends in with the colors of the composter a little bit better. Whereas I don't think this is creating the illusion that there are more apples below, which was the main intention behind grabbing a red block. So yeah, podzol it is. So now that we've got our first test done, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of these composters with the rest of the produce that we've got in our hand. I am quite happy with how this turned out. It did take quite a while to do because each one is its own separate armor stand. So because of that, we are going to be pretty selective of how often we use armor stand displays. But overall, I like the character that it adds to this, and it really would feel empty without it. Now over here, we need to go ahead and get started on decorating the rest of these stalls. And these are going to be more typical decorations. We may do a little bit of armor stand displays in these minecarts as well, but other than that, we are probably just going to keep it very vanilla. So I've got one of each flower minus the ones that I already had out here before. And now that I'm seeing how many there are, I think I'm actually going to take these minecarts out and do another flower pot on both ends. First off, let's go ahead and add a spore blossom underneath. And since the torch flower is my favorite, we're going to put it on this end so that you can see it as you're walking up down this way. And then along the front, we're just going to follow the rest of the rainbow. So we'll do the red tulip, poppy, orange tulip, and the dandelion. And then along the top, we're going to finish out the rainbow so that you can see it from this main walkway. So we got the, what are you? Blue orchid? Yeah, we got the blue orchid, cornflower, allium, and pink tulip. And then on this side, we are going to put the closed eye blossom. I'm not going to do an open eye blossom as well, since they will just turn into the same flower at different times of day. So we are just putting the closed one in on this side. And then along the back, we're going with the more white flowers. So we've got the oxeye daisy, azure bluet, white tulip, and lily of the valley. Now, the only other one that's left that is a one tall flower is the wither rose. So we're gonna go ahead and put this in its own little pot. We're just gonna put it right here on the more neutral side, because honestly, I kind of forget that it's even a flower, and I guess we can technically consider it a nether flower. So we'll put it on its own special place since we don't have another place on the display for it. And as for the two tall flowers, we're actually going to move this one so that we can put the sunflower where it is open towards the pathway. And then at the front, we'll go ahead and put the pitcher plant because that is also one of my favorites. And then we're just going to sprinkle the rest of these throughout. So we'll just put them here and there. And then all that's really left is we've got some pink petals. So we're just going to put those along the ground so that we can enjoy those as well. For the saplings, we are going to do dark oak, spruce, jungle, and oak along the front. And then we're going to go in with acacia, cherry, pale oak, and birch on the middle. And along the back, we're going to do mangrove, crimson fungus, warped fungus, and bamboo. And that should be everything that can create a wood type in Minecraft. I do also want to add some hanging roots to this one as well. And then we decided to replace the minecarts on this one as well. And then we added both mushrooms in a pot. And then around the edges, we just got some grass and some ferns thrown in. Now that the flower display and the sapling display are done, that means 4 out of the 10 stalls are all complete. And I would argue these are the 4 more time-intensive stalls to do, but I think it's time to lock in and get the rest of these taken care of so that we can call this farmer's market complete. We've got all of the finishing touches taken care of on the farmer's market, so I want to give you all a final tour of this area before we move on to the next. So we've got the pond all detailed. There's some texture along the edges. It definitely is looking a lot better. It needed that transition block. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. Super simple. And then as far as the back sides of some of these trading stalls, I tried to make them not completely bland. So in this situation, we covered it up with the cherry tree. But for that one, we threw some banners on just to add a little bit of a pattern. It's not doing too much, but it's at least better than if it's just a solid color. Now moving this way, you already saw the flower stall and the sapling stall, and this is what we've got going on for the leather stall. So just typical leathered goods, and then we've got a armor stand with leather armor that we actually bought from a leather worker, so we threw that in there. Then we have the baked goods area. We got cookies, eggs, pie, cake, bread, and a little honey bottle here. And then we've got the produce, which you've already seen. We've got the meat and fish. And then this is what I'm calling like the cleric, like artisanal goods section. So anything you would buy from a cleric, minus I need a rabbit's foot. I only had one for an item frame that is over by the brewing station. So we need to go get another so we can put one here. But super simple in this area. And then we've got the picnic area with a little basket. And we did put 2 more armor stands in here just to put something in the basket. And then we've got the wool shop, which super straightforward. I found out you can only make mini blocks of the white wool. You can't do it of the other colors. So we just threw in a couple of the white ones here and there to give it a little bit extra depth, but it's a very straightforward stall for sure. And then over here we've got some potions, and then this one is double-sided, so some other potions on this end. And then this one we have the dyes, which I didn't put every single color in, but I did try to keep the rainbow. So we've got 1 green instead of the dark green and light lime green, and then we've got 1 version of blue for representation of that. And with the farmer's market all done and decorated, we're going to focus on finishing up the tree nursery that you saw a little bit earlier. Okay, the first time this happened, I thought it was just like I was not paying attention and threw too many eggs. I just threw one egg and it turned into 4 chickens. Is this normal? Because this is the second time this has happened. It happened again. That's the 3rd time, and I think it's been like 2-3 minutes since that last happened. Is this just more common than I realize? I'm gonna see if it happens again while I'm actually recording. There it is! Again! 4 times? Is this just really good luck, or does this happen more than I realize because I just don't ever throw eggs and pay attention? So we knocked out quite a bit of work on stream the other day, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we have completed. So first off, all the paths have been textured. We got the light poles all around, and in this area right before the tree nursery, we've got a sweet berry farm. And then this is the tree nursery. So it's got every single wood type minus those in the nether, just because I didn't really want a lot of red and cyan in the area. But we've got the acacia, we've got the mangrove, cherry, pale oak, and all of the rest of the trees. And we decided to do these little bit of like buffer zones in between where you could keep some plants that maybe need to be potted soon. And then I sprinkled in the leaves from the adjacent trees for each one, and then mangrove roots just as kind of like a common ground between each one. And then we used some lanterns, flower pots, decorated pots, and fences of the associated wood type, just to kind of decorate within. And then we didn't go all the way across, so we do have these moments where you can pass through to the other side. But I think it did a really good job at filling out the space at the front that felt really, really empty with just the little saplings. But it doesn't impede on traffic when you get to the back end where you have the full-size trees. So really like how that turned out. It also adds a lot of light down the path, which was much needed. So this is pretty well lit at nighttime, which is good. But yeah, we got all of those thrown in, and then we decided to go ahead and throw bamboo on the very end. So we mixed in some of the bamboo as well. And instead of doing the pumpkin and melon farms where I originally thought I was going to, we decided to put some pumpkin and melon farms over here just to fill in the rest of this space. Really liking this location because it surrounds the farming area, so it makes sense for it to all kind of be in one general area. We threw in some scarecrows as well because this needed some additional lighting, and then we added the bridge that goes over this crater is what I've been calling it. So just a pretty simple bridge. We decided to use copper as like the secondary block to tie in with all the other copper we've got in the area, but just because I wasn't really liking the oak and I tried a couple of other materials and decided to stick with copper. So I do need to figure out what level of oxidation I want this to get to, and then I'll go in and wax it, but we're just kind of letting it all oxidize for now, and then I'll come back and deoxidize what I need to. Now, somehow we still have plenty left to do, even though I feel like this video is going on forever. I want to get started on the dock and the boat that's gonna go right behind me. And I don't know what I'm doing, so we're going to just learn as we go. But let's give it a try and we'll see what we can come up with. So this is how far we got with the boat and the dock, and I have slept since I finished what we're showing here, and I intended on kind of getting some rest, taking a look at this with fresh eyes and seeing what needs to be changed, because when I was done, I was like, honestly, this boat needs some more work. I know I can do better, I just don't know how yet because I haven't done a boat, and I do want to work on that more in the future. But the more that I think about it, the less that it makes sense to me to have a boat right here and a dock, because if you look at it, the boat can't go anywhere over here, and if you go this way, the ocean's past that, but there is no access point here, and I could potentially connect the two, but we've already established that the main form of transportation is rails and carts. Technically, the boat could go under the bridge and head wherever this river takes them, but I don't even know where that takes you off the top of my head. So the more I think about it, the more I feel like we should scrap the water transportation lore from the village and try something different here, because we've already established our transportation type. And I would rather try working on a boat whenever I have a larger body of water and it's in the context of an ocean rather than just a little river. So we're going to try something different. So when I was a teenager, I had a handful of friends who all lived in these two combined neighborhoods. And there was this pond at the middle of the neighborhood that had a gazebo at the center of it, which also had a little bit of a bridge to it. So I feel like a gazebo would be a nice thing to add that kind of accentuates the vibe we're going for, but also gives you a point to look off into the water. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of make a circular mound rather than doing like a bridge off into the water like what I am inspired by. I'm just going to build up the land around it and poke it out into the water a little bit more than it currently would be with the way the land is shaped now. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and give that a try. And then as far as block palette, I am thinking about like the view you get from this angle as well as this angle. So I want to find some blocks that are going to pull a little bit from each. So I'm thinking for now, I want to stick with the copper because that's going to be pretty common in the entire village. And then I think I want to pull in some of the pale oak and maybe some mud bricks. I think those three color combos will look nice. So we're gonna go ahead and get this going, and I am going to just work through the whole process and then we will see what we come up with. Okay, so far I am liking this a whole lot better. I've got a little bit of an outline set in, and then I've extended the land out to support it. So I think that this is what we're going to proceed with, and I'll see what we can come up with and if we end up liking it. But I am definitely liking this a lot more than the dock, because in addition to it feeling out of place, I also was just kind of bored of the shape of it because it was a rectangle. And I feel like it'll be nice to throw in another circular structure just to kind of balance out all the others that are already in here. I am definitely happy with the switch from the dock to the gazebo. I really like how this is filling in the area. I do really like this block combination as well. I think it looks good with the mud bricks and the pale oak. And then I got a little bit of decoration going on the inside. Of course, we got a place to sleep. We got some fake chairs, and then I just wanted a little table here, so we put a cod head on there and some candles just to have something for decoration. But overall, pretty simple decoration on the inside. And I figured, since we've been looking for a place to put a beacon, and I do want it to be pretty close to my house, I think we're actually going to send the beacon through the center of this gazebo. And now we've just got to go down to bedrock. So I made a little bit of an access point down here just so I could make my way in. What did I do? I just placed something. And we are going to dig down to bedrock and hope that nothing goes wrong. Can't complain about some random diamonds. I'll definitely take those. We are down at -57 and all of the iron blocks are placed, and I might as well go ahead and get an iron ingot so that I can activate it, and we are going to go ahead and place this beacon. Okay, why didn't I get the advancement? So the beacon is up and running, and as you saw, we for some reason did not get the updated advancement for it. And even with the Oh Shiny, I've gone back in and traded with piglins again and have not gotten that one to update. So not sure what's going on. It may just be my nether related advancements, because we did decide to go to a trial chamber the other day on stream. So if you want to see that, go check out the stream. It'll be on my channel. But that advancement did happen, and that was after I had set up the beacon. So not really sure what's going on there. I'm going to hope that it's some bug that gets resolved over time. But for some reason, that did not update in my log. But that being said, beacon is in. We're good to go. And you may think we're done, but no, there's still a lot more to do. This is just the video that is never going to end, I feel like. But I've been thinking about one other thing. I've got this big open space right here, and I want to plant a crop field in here, but I actually don't think that it needs to take up the entirety of the space, and I have an idea for something else I want to put over here in addition to the crop field. So my main goal when I started this world was to make sure everything gets the proper attention it deserves before moving on to the next project, and I've got to be honest, there's a couple of farms I've been keeping a secret from you all. The first one is right over here, and it's just a really quick honeycomb farm that we made on stream, but I didn't have the time to make a full-on structure for it. And the second farm is hidden behind this wall. We've got a chest here that collects the pitcher pods and the torchflower seeds, but the farm itself is also quite sad looking. It's just tucked into this cave over here underneath my house. And I think it's time we relocate both of these farms to that plot of land I showed you earlier. Because this video is already taking a lot longer than I originally anticipated, I've gone ahead and prepared the design in creative. So these are all of the materials that we will be using. But I do need a couple of items from an ocean monument. So I think we're gonna go ahead and take out some of the Elder Guardians and mine what we can so that we have all the supplies we need. First, we need a proper trident, a bucket of milk, and lastly, we just need some throwaway blocks, 3 TNT, 3 redstone blocks, and then 2 water-breathing potions and 2 invisibility potions. And now we've just got to find our way back to the ocean monument we went to previously. And with those last bits of prismarine and sea lanterns, we are ready to start this next build. So we're basically done with this build. I just need to oxidize some of, or deoxidize some of these trapdoors because they got a little bit too oxidized for my liking. But other than that, the exterior is done. Now you may be wondering, where's the actual farm? Well, since we are using an LA collection system, I figured I would go ahead and do my favorite combo farm to do early game. And we put them all in here so that the LAs can't escape. And then we also put the bees in here so they can't escape. And we've just got everything in one big area. So we've got some sugarcane over here, bamboo, sugarcane as well, and then 2 more sugarcane farms over here, and then another bamboo. And I don't have a lot of bamboo in comparison because that one actually, even with this like smaller percentage of it bamboo, it's gonna grow way faster than the sugarcane. So we'll probably have more than enough for this earlier starter base. But yeah, we've got the beehives in, and they're collecting both honeycomb and honey bottles. And you can see more of that over here in the auto sorting system. So we've got the sugarcane, we've got the honeycomb, honey bottles, torch flower seeds, pitcher pods. We have one for sniffer eggs just in case I want to go in there and start breeding them up. I haven't really been doing that a lot lately, but I can if I want to. And then this last one, it doesn't have an actual filter, so anything extra is going to come in here, but we've got mainly bamboo. So we got all that in there, and then we got a ton of resources as we were emptying all this out, and I've already run out of storage for stone in multiple different locations, so we're keeping another double chest of stone here. Now, really, there are just a couple of little housekeeping items to take care of around the rest of the village before it is done. So planting some flower fields and some crop fields, and then a couple of little last minute details, and then we can go ahead and do the final tour. It is feeling so much better and complete with all these details in, just filling in this space with flowers and crops. And really, I feel like there's no area that has gone untouched within the entire village. Now we're going to take a quick walk through. A lot of the spaces between the paths are where I started to add different field types. So for the area near all the farms, we tried to keep more of the crop farms. And then once we get closer to the houses is when we started to switch to flower fields. So we've got some wheat over by the sheep. And then up here, we extended the rose bushes that we already had and just brought them around the back side of the iron farm. Near the area where we're keeping the sniffer farm, we've got all of the torch flowers and pitcher pods or pitcher plants. And then near the pigs, we've got some carrots. And then over on this side, we've got the potatoes leading down towards the sheep farm. And then back here, we've got a wheat farm. And then over here, we've got the beets. And then we got another carrot farm over here by the cows. So overall, a lot of crop farms up on this portion. And then we have the one flower field over by the sniffer farm. But then as you go down here, we've got a lot more variations of laying out flowers. So for some of them, we have like a more dense diagonal layout. Some are a little bit less dense, but still diagonal. And then we have ones that are more like clusters of each flower type. So we have them in almost like a circular type shape, both here and then on this side of the house. And then we do have some areas where we have more of like the bushes with flowers, just to kind of add different levels of flower density, because I think if I did everything like this, it would be a little too much. And trust me, I did try it at one point too, and decided to kind of mix it up. But overall, pretty happy with how it turned out. We did throw in a little baby tree here. You head back this way, we do have some diagonal flowers here. We got more rose bushes back here. And then just working our way through, we've just got little variations of flower types as we get to different housing areas. Like I felt like the orange worked well with this color palette. We kept the more white color for this house. And then back here, I needed to put something that this path led into, and I thought it would just be a nice relaxation space. So we're showing a little bit of a bench looking off into the water. We got some tree with the leaves, the petals falling down. And then this was just like a cliffside that was natural, and I didn't like the look of like the dirt and the grass and the stone. So we went in and added more of like stone retaining walls, added some leaves and lichen, and then made some little openings in the rock just to texture that up a bit. And I like how that turned out a lot better. And then we have the campsite around back. So let me hop my way to it. So it's kind of like a secret path because I want it to feel like it is just not used very often. So it's hidden back here. It's not very lit. And we've just got a little tent, a little campfire, some logs, and then a bed and some workstations inside. And for the design of the tent, I did end up just finding a picture on Pinterest that I liked, because I feel like there's not really a lot of variation of like tents you can do, and so I decided just to do a quick and easy one. I do always link my Pinterest inspo board in the description of each video, so if you want to check out the ones that I use for inspiration, they are on that board. But yeah, go ahead and give it a look if you want to see the original picture for inspiration for this one. And I glazed past it a second ago, but we did end up doing a custom tree. I like how it fills in the space. As far as the tree itself, I'd say I'm about like 85% happy with it. We spent quite a bit of time on this. I don't do custom trees very often, so it's a learning experience as we go. And I know that there's things that I could likely do better, and I need to just continue practicing in order to figure those out. To figure out like the best style for me and the technique. But I wanted to keep it the way it was right now, just for memory's sake, so I can look back on it later and we can kind of compare and see how things have changed. But I did continually pull back in Freecam to make sure that I was happy with the silhouette of the tree. And I actually wanted to show you something funny that happened as I was doing this, because I really liked the view from a distance, and I was like, I like this, but as I'm walking underneath it, I don't really like it as much, and I couldn't figure out why. And I realized later that it's because I didn't look at it from top down or like bottom up. And so from the main player POV, it was just a little funky. And then if you look top down, it's just completely thin. Like there's no leaves to it. So we went in and we fixed that, and that definitely helped. But we'll continue to practice on this in the future, and yeah, later we can come back and compare and like see what changed. So we ended up using 5 different kinds of leaves. So for the darker sides, we're using mostly mangrove and the occasional jungle leaf. And then as like the middle ground, we're using oak. And then for the places where I wanted to highlight it, we're using either azalea or flowering azalea, and those are just a lot brighter, so those are more focused towards the top. So as far as like the leaf color like gradient, I'm really happy with that. I do like the base of the tree. We added in the swing, and we have some texture around the bottom that I like. I think the main part that's throwing me off is really just like the shape from the main player POV. I do still like it from a distance, but yeah, like as you're walking under it, something just feels off to me. I tried to like add more branches this way, but you know, we gotta practice and we'll get better. So that's basically everything for this village makeover. Now I am going to do a couple of last minute items. I want to throw some coral in this pond just to add a little bit more color because it was a little bland, and I think that this will add some nice pops. But in addition to this, I do have 4 axolotls that we're going to release in here. I'm hoping they don't escape. I feel like they probably will, so we'll see how well this works. But I'm going to go ahead and release them. And if you guys have suggestions for their names, let me know in the comments below. We've got 1 of each color in here. I do have some backups in case anything happens to them, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and leave them in the pond and hope that they do not have troubles surviving in here, because I have had issues with the axolotls before if they're not like perfectly contained. But yeah, if you guys have name suggestions, let me know. We're gonna need 4, so I would love to get these guys in that intro montage, give them their little moment. And the last thing we are going to do, and arguably the part I am usually the most excited about, is we are going to update the maps. So these ones are all locked in, so we don't have to worry about those changing. So we're going to replace those with new ones that we lock. But then as for this one up here, these have not been locked in, so we're just going to update these. But this is what it was looking like whenever I last made the maps, which was like mid-December. And this is what we've got going today. I'm really liking the way this is looking. You can start to see all of the pathways. It is quite interesting to like know what colors show up as what on the map. So like that's a copper roof with like different levels of oxidization. So you've got like a pinkish color, orange and blue, quite interesting. And then like it looks like the brick shows up as straight on red, tuft shows up as brown, which is kind of weird. And then you can start to see all of the different trading stalls, which I really like how those look. You see the little campsite, and then I like how the tree nursery and the pumpkin and melon farms are looking at the back. So that is it for this episode. This has been a long one, but I had a lot of fun working on it in the process. Definitely was not expecting it to take multiple weeks. I actually split this project into 3 different episodes. If you recall, the villager house updates and the animal barns were originally all intended to be in one big episode, but I pretty quickly realized that that was not going to work out. Didn't realize that I probably should have split it up into like 4 or 5, but here we are. The village is done. Everything's been updated. And yeah, I'm really liking the progress, and we've got a lot of work to do in the future. We have already started some of the next projects in the live stream, so if you want a little sneak peek, feel free to tune in, come hang out with us and chat. But other than that, thank you so much to everyone who liked the video and who is a part of the community. If you want to join as well, feel free to subscribe. I will link our Discord down below as well if you'd like to join that. But that being said, it is time to get ready for the next project. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.